Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are who's listening to this. I'm Peter Seymour Howe from wellnesswithinreach.com with my bester of friends, Will Marsh from Premier Research. The man's got credentials up the proverbial, so we bow to his wisdom today on amazing journey for the human body, which involves I'll just say our focus is allergies, but we really want to understand in a very concise way how digestion and how elimination, the lymphatic system really all tie in. And then if we have time today, we'll put the cherry on top about the emotional body. Uh, Otherwise, we can probably spend about a year talking about that subject. So with that, folks, just get comfy and we'll have a good time here. So take
Yeah.
it, Will.
Thank you all. As always, it's a pleasure to be on this show. And if you ever have questions in regards to Premier Research Labs and the product applications that we kind of go through and the recommendations that we like to interface with our practitioners, you have Peter here with Wellness Within Reach. I always encourage to go to wellnesswithinreach.com. That's your trusted source for all Premier Research Labs products. And essentially, if you are needing to schedule a consult with a valued QA practitioner and referral practitioner within our network, Peter Howe would be the man of the hour for that, definitely that. And so we are continuing our conversation on allergies today. We kind of, I think if we're reviewing or if you're coming in straight from our kind of introductory talk, we talked a lot about a different subject matters and kind of thoughts around allergies, why they occur, the predispositions that we're seeing, the kind of the rationale of why. And so over the next couple episodes, we'll be diving a little bit deeper into that and kind of being a little bit more granular into the organ gland systems and their relation and kind of the dysfunction that you can see and why, then you get this overblown kind of reaction of the body to these innate particles that the body really shouldn't be allergic to, right? It shouldn't be having an immune reaction. Allergies are not necessarily a truly natural phenomenon because it is, remember, it's a dysbiosis with the environment around you, right? You're not in sync with the different facets to what make your environment whole, right? And so what we will be actually diving into today is going to be talking a little bit more about digestion. And a lot of people don't think about, when they have a runny nose, their eyes are watery, eyes are itchy. They don't really think about how foods they eat and the foods they're consuming definitely play a role into the sensitivities of what's coming out of their face and their mouth and their cavities, right? I mean, who thinks about that when they're coming in for allergies, Peter? I mean,
Uh, Totally. And the other piece is allergy may not be just running here, but we're talking about the other end. But a lot of times that allergy ends up not leaving the body from the southern end, shall we say. So it's a funny concept, but the body has a consciousness of trying to survive. And one of this nasal aspect or whatever is the symptom, talking about body using its consciousness to send up the little flag saying something's not right here. Pay attention.
Well, and I think when you look at digestion and digestive processes as a whole, the body is made up of mucosal membranes. That's your first line of defense. And when you look at the digestive system, once you get into the GI tract, the upper GI, well, really the small intestine and large intestine, it is just one large snake of a mucosal membrane train, so to speaking. And essentially what you're seeing there is basically when you have allergic predispositions of mucosal membranes that are having inflammation and inflammatory like conditions, you have to go back to the gut as well, because a lot of that can actually originate, and the propensity for that sensitivity can be originating in that gut. And so most people, just like in our immune conversation that we had, in our digestive conversation that we had, 70% of the immune system is based around the gut, and that is our most vulnerable, our most sensitive, and we need to take into account how we're eating, what we're eating, and really the state that we're consuming those foods in, because it's so crucial to overall immune function. And when you look at allergies, it is a dysfunction in that immune health. And so we'll kind of jump into that. Anything?
Well, I just wanted to add one little thing about it's, and it's when we eat also. If we're eating late at night, the body has its own rhythm. And if we aren't paying attention to that particular cycle, we're adding another level of congestion or chaos to the body's whole elimination process.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so we are on Wellness Within Reach. And if you ever want to kind of search around to look for great recommendations of products, always feel free to go here. You know, when I closed off our last kind of segment, I introduced our fermented mushroom, oh, not our fermented beets, our fermented mushroom. And I was essentially hinting at, you know, this is a great, potentially a great product just to, if you are one of those seasonal allergy sufferers, you do have some gut troubles. It's a great product to kind of start your, I guess, diet to enrich in regards to allergies. And the reason being is mushroom compounds and mushrooms as a whole, they have these basically these polysaccharide derivatives that help to basically influence and help the body relearn how to have an appropriate immune response. It's kind of like a textbook on throttling or controlling how the immune system is adapting to the environment that it's in. And so with mushrooms as a whole, and you know, we've gone into some very clinical products like our nucleoimmune, which has a beta glucan derivative to that very can speak very eloquently to immune modulation and gut health. But just in general, right, when we look at allergies and kind of the underlying causative factors to that, it's a lack of diversity and it's a lack of immune stimulation in a healthy way that makes the body so sensitive, right? And so a lot of times when you're looking at dietary strategies and dietary approaches to help, you know, make the body a little bit less gung-ho and firing, right, when it gets a pollen derivative that goes into the nose and then there comes the waterfall of mucus. A lot of times what we're talking about is actually just reorienting, re-inoculating the body or re-exposing the body to a multitude of different factors that help to basically say, hey, you know, we're not going to be oversensitive. We're not going to be the type of immune system that is reacting to every little new thing, because we know that life is diverse and et cetera, et cetera. So basically you're giving the conscious thought of diversity and acceptance in a lot of ways to different food particles. And so the fermented mushroom blend, it's one of those products that, you know, when we're talking about allergies and you're wanting to kind of, you know, introduce that thought and introduce some kind of products to kind of help get the body on track, right, and get it kind of on that learning paradigm, it's a great start to make that.
And I will just add one for my, I'll say, overall health protection in these crazy times. The big hint is you may want to just enjoy the fermented mushrooms because it has some great properties to keep. It really is a great, I'll just say, major overall supporter for our immune system.
Mhm.
That was very political. Comment on my part, trying to avoid those special little words.
Got to dance sometimes. Um, So one of these products that it's really a whole food basis, right? We're not looking at an extract derivative. We're not really directly playing, you know, immune sensitivity. Really, we're just exposing the body to, you know, a blend of 6 different fermented mushroom compounds, all rich in beta glucans, all that have, you know, you have a fiber derivative as well, have a robust amount of vitamin C actually to that, and you know, basically just giving the body a little bit of nudge and exposure to say, hey, you know, let's get a little bit more on track than maybe we were before. Because a lot of us, if you think about your diet, how many different foods are you consuming in a given week? Is it less than 10? If it's less than 10, I definitely encourage, your body's just very reductionized and not exposed to a lot of different elements. And so, you know, we're wanting to build that in. And here's 6 different food products that you're integrating right from the get-go with one scoop, right?
And we'll just add to, and what is an allergy? It's a state of inflammation. Thus, our happy little vitamin C is an anti-inflammatory here, let alone all its other good perks. So using food to bring forward healing. We just happen to go, that's a really good thing.
Crazy thought, right?
Yeah, funny thing. Yay,
So
Mother Nature.
if you're open to other applications as well, we do have colostrum. It is one of those products that actually, so the, oops, we'll not go to your picture there. Looking good.
Oh yes, looking good.
Another kind of aspect in terms of immune modulation, immune potentiation through the gut is colostrum. And they're really, when you look at bovine colostrum or any colostrum source, basically you're looking at a rich source of immunoglobulins that actually can directly modulate and immune processes around the gut. And when you look at gut lymphocytic associated tissue, GALT, so to speak, you're really looking at the abilities for, you're directly playing within the wheelhouse of how the immune system is throttling up or throttling down in its reactivity. And so colostrum or colostrum derivatives, colostrum-like derivatives like mushroom compounds even, they are essentially players within that wheelhouse of immune modulation, direct antagonists to basically saying how sensitive the body is going to be. And so that's why a lot of times, when you're young, when you're a child, when you're first born, colostrum is so crucial to start to establish the immune health of the body as a whole, because basically you're basically teaching the body what bacteria it shouldn't allow. You're teaching how the immune system should react, and then you're just exposing it to other elements that essentially kind of as the child progresses and grows up, it knows how to kind of build up a proper cadence for that exposure and proper reaction, right? And so with colostrum, mushrooms, these whole food derivatives, right, such a crucial basically learning opportunity by exposing them to these elements. And so if you're open to a bovine source, definitely a great opportunity to get IgG, IgA kind of directly from in that regard. And so a lot of times when you have allergies, when you have that runny nose, that drainage, that pollen exposure, you're looking at kind of teaching the body a proper immune response from the gut up. And it's a great starting point.
And I will just add that Premier uses very little from a four-legged creature. Mm-hmm. And their testing is, professionally speaking, beyond specnicity. So just know what you're getting here is something that's been grass-fed. There's no hormones. There's nothing here that is going to, shall we say, distract the body from building its immune system and what it is designed to do for you.
Yeah, and dietary recommendations beyond that, I think it's important that you are screening for pesticides, heavy metals, inorganic derivatives with any of your. And this is the key point here, and we don't even have to talk. I'll bring up another product just for fun, so we can talk about it next. But kind of why, but when you look at supplementation, supplemental strategies, your food and diet lifestyle choices around allergy optimization, you have to have a conversation about pesticides, inorganic residues, organic residues, xenobiotic-like derivatives, all these sort of different metabolites and waste products and pollutants in the environment. What you have to kind of conceptualize is if you're not trying to take those into consideration, make sure that you're getting as clean a source possible, those are factors that only increase the potentiation of the immune system to go awry. And when you are talking about allergies and when you're having a discussion about allergies and when you're wanting to, try to get the reins on your immune system and kind of calm that down, a lot of times you have to take into account all these other factors that may be kind of limiting your body's ability to react accordingly. I mean, is that a fair assessment in that regard?
I would say you just hammered it pretty good there, guy.
And so we talked about, fermented mushrooms. We've talked about colostrum. Those are, great players right in the sandbox of immune health. They go into the gut lymphocytic associated tissue around the gut. And so then we can actually modulate inflammatory factors in the gut and around the gut and the mucosal membrane health of the gut. And so one of my favorite products, Peter hears me talk about it all the time. It's a new product with Premier Research Labs, but it's our.
I am falling in love more than not.
I think we always bring it up in conversation with allergies just because it is a proteolytic enzyme, and basically it's one of the strongest on the market to this date. But it's a blend of really 4 different enzyme derivatives. We have the bromelain, which I think most people would be familiar with. That's sourced from pineapple. We have actinidia, which is sourced from a kiwi fruit. We have papain, which is a papaya-based enzyme, and then we have fig, which provides phycin, which is a very rich proteolytic enzyme in terms of blood health. And so really bromelain is what I'll kind of talk about on this segment here. But if you're looking for basically a way to kind of quench the inflammation of the body, and the inflammation coming from the mucosal membranes even and trying to improve the mucosal membrane health, these enzymes derivatives, especially bromelain, has been clinically studied to help modulate those markers of inflammation and obviously help to improve, conversely, improve immune health, because inflammation and immune system dysfunction go hand in hand. You're really looking at the same kind of scenario in a lot of ways. Now, there can be other factors in terms of types of inflammation, but a lot of times they are immune driven, and that's what allergies are. It's an immune driven inflammatory reaction to a substance that you shouldn't be allergic to. And so when you are getting, kind of inflamed, right? When you are trying to help support the body's reactivity to certain substances, a lot of times you're so inflamed, you can't actually do the support you're needing. You can't actually take the colostrum, you can't take the fermented mushrooms. So you're having to kind of clean the body, clean the slate, so that then you can start to expose the body to different elements. And one of our key recommendations for practitioners and clients alike is to start with phytozymes, a regimen of phytozymes. And Peter definitely can help kind of dose strategies and other products to recommend to go along with it. But this is a great product to help kind of put out the fire or quench the fire that's going on, so that then you can start doing the work to get the body back on track to different exposure theories or elements and increase that diversity, so you're not hopefully going to be as reactive to the factors in the environment that you would have been before. Anything you want to add to that?
I just, as you were talking about elimination and having issues with other products, a lot of times what we're finding, and we've talked about this way back when we started the series, is interference fields. And this is where something like phytozymes, where it's starting to break down the coagulation, if you will, or the congestion within the body, the inflammation. Whereas we look at interference fields to see what else energetically in the body is blocking the body's ability to communicate on the lines of, hey, I got to get rid of this waste.
And I mean, honestly, I think our next session should probably be talking about emotional coding and disturbance that kind of impair the immune paradigm of health and wellness. But with this phytozymes, and that, to your point, if you're trying to do the emotional work, if you're trying to do the clearing, so the body, you're not having a persona that's reactive to the food, because there's this whole other element. You have this subconscious reaction because you've always been reactive, right? So you're going to assume that you're going to react to this certain element, and then you potentiate that reaction, right? Well, there's emotional work that a practitioner like Peter can walk you through and help to clear, right, that energy that is associated with that. But you still have to get the body in a clean state, so that emotional work kind of latches on, right? And so products like phytozymes can be so crucial to that clearing work and that clearing process as you do the other work around that, because then you're kind of reinforcing that the body is not going to be hopefully as reactive to those different elements by helping to kind of quench inflammatory processes. And even there's, with the proteolytic digestion aspect, it actually can break down some of those different environmental elements that you may be reacting to. And then as you kind of reach that new paradigm of your body understanding, its place, and that it's okay to be exposed to this, and then maybe that next exposure won't be as sensitive to that. So one of my favorite products, I think there's some really good information regarding proteolytic enzymes out there. They're kind of the new frontier of anti-inflammatory support, and that goes right into allergy support. So if you're in that stage of navigating and recalibrating the body's immune system, definitely one of my favorite products, just to have that as part of your introductory phase to the allergy kind of program there. So good stuff.
Great stuff.
So
do you want to try for one more product, or do you think you're happy with the audience hanging here?
There's so many products that we can really tap into. One of the products that I'll bring up now, it goes both into the digestive, lymph, and kind of into the allergen paradigm, depending on, and this is a product that I would only recommend if you're working with a fellow like Peter. Essentially, allocidin is one of my favorite lymph supporting products. And the reason being is it has an immune aspect to that, but it also has a lymph supporting clearing aspect. And when you have allergies and when you have that congestion with the mucosal membranes, right, you have a lot of lymph production, right? Your immunoglobulins or your antibody production goes through the roof, so to speak. And what people don't realize is your lymph is kind of the most crucial system in the transport of those immune cells, right? And those mast cells and those reactivity cells to the allergen itself. And so when you're feeling stuff coming out of the nose, most likely you have a lot of kind of sludge going through the lymph. And so when we look at a product like alicidin, it's a great way to be kind of supportive in the clearance of that and the movement of that and the fluidity of that. Also, when you look at like dysfunction in the gut, especially if there's bacterial overgrowth, and when you have immune dysfunction, a lot of times with allergies, there typically is a dysbiosis going on within the gut already, right? So there's potential bacteria, probably different elements of the gut microbiota that have kind of gone awry, and so a lot of times this alicidin with alanine can actually kind of touch on a lot of different aspects to that, but it just really clears and refreshes the lymph in a lot of different ways just because of the activity of the garlic. I mean, anything you want to add?
I'll just add, so for all of those who've had friends or family or yourselves, as I did once, have a Baker cyst behind the knee, the should we say allopathic way is to usually cut it out and then things start happening again. But what a Baker cyst is actually inflammation of the lymphatic system. So my experience, you'll notice that this product has hyssop in it, and along with the alicidin, hyssop amazing for the lymphatic system by itself, but you actually add now, turkey tail, something about mushrooms there, and adding the parsley, etc. We've got a great way of, again, supporting the opening of the body as we're going after those irritants, shall we say.
Yeah, and I think it's clearance and movement, right? And when you look at allicin and allen, these garlic derivatives, they're very good at kind of stimulating that aspect of the body, right? It's a very high heat kind of product in that regards, and it gets the body moving in a lot of different ways. It's immune modulating, cardiovascular aid, but I think Peter, and we can kind of wrap it up here in terms of this, the reality of allergies is, when you have a predisposition for allergies and you think, oh, this is just a seasonal thing, and this is just a reminder from the last episode. If you think this is a seasonal thing, if you think this is shouldn't be given your full attention, I definitely encourage you to reevaluate that position, because the reason being is allergies a lot of times show downstream immune dysfunction, right? And if the body is in a constant state of inflammation, reactivity, and immune stress, right, and it isn't able to find a calm, right, well, then you look at the potentiation of chronic diseases down the line. So if you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're suffering from allergies, it comes along every year, I would be hard pressed not to, find that, downstream immune consequences from that constant bombardment of your body trying to find homeostasis and be okay with the environment around it. And that's when you get these chronic conditions from basically immune dysfunction, right? And so the list of that can be very intense. You listed one of those just there with inflammation.
List gets bigger and bigger as we get older if we don't go to the why. If we start just, I'll just say, suppressing, like a lot of the over-counter suggestions that are out there that you see bombarded on the radio or see on the radio, right? And on television, it's about suppression. It's not about going to the real why. And as a practitioner and wanting, I'll just say, for everyone's body to remember how they're supposed to be and sort of what that right road is for their particular health issues, uh, you know, going back to the basics, and what we've just shown you is one of the most amazing roads to your recovery. And
Yeah, I would encourage, if you're listening to this, go back to kind of our digestive paradigm or digestive series, just because, I'm going to show our fermented greens just to kind of introduce and reinforce this thought. And essentially it's the fact that you are what you eat. you are how you eat, and basically how the body is reacting to the foods you consume. And I think when you look at optimizing digestion, and when you look at the factors that go into digestive health and the sensitivity, I mean, that organ gland system, or that process of the body, is the most fundamental process to who you are, in a lot of my opinion, to who you are in a day-to-day basis. And so if digestion is out of bounds, if digestion is not optimized, if digestion is not in sync with who you are and what you're doing and what your intent is and what your purpose and in the environment around you, right, you have a lot of potentiation of downstream consequences to that. And so products, when we talk about allergies, and you're coming in here, maybe you're catching us at the tail end of this episode, and you're like, why are they talking about fermented greens when I have allergies and I'm trying to get support? The reason being is because those allergies can ultimately have been kind of spurred upon by digestive dysfunction, right? And when you look at the microbiota, when you look at how the body is digesting the foods, when you look at the phytonutrients that help to nourish the immune system and immune health that come from the whole foods that you're consuming, I just raised the point that you really want to center back on digestion when you're talking about allergies. So, final words on that?
I think you nailed it, Guy. So I say that is a quality wrap.
Well, I think next episode we'll kind of dive into emotional coding, the emotional aspect of.
I think it's really important. I think we would be doing an injustice to those who are following us not to address that, because it's something they can do at home if we give them the right tools, with a little experimentation, but also, and if they need a little gentle direction, works really well. So, Master Will, I say thank you so much for your time once again. And this is Peter Howe at wellnesswithinreach.com, wishing you all a very productive, healthy spring ahead. And we'll just send it out with a lot of big hugs and lots of heart to you all. So keep the day blessed and healthy. Well, we love you. Thanks all. Bye.